Well, we have a betrayal on our hands, folks, and this one is shaking the very foundation of the America First movement. So just hours ago, a Senate vote nearly wiped out President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. These are the very same tariffs that have been rebuilding American industry, forcing China to the table, and ultimately giving our workers a fighting chance again. And guess what? It wasn't even Democrats behind this particular sabotage. Senator Rand Paul. Yes, the Rand Paul who just voted to cancel the very policy that helped hand Trump a historic win in 2024. This is a man who claimed to stand for freedom, liberty, and the American sovereignty. He just stood shoulder to shoulder with Democrats like Chuck Schumer in a quiet but dangerous attempt to bring down Trump's most powerful economic weapon. But why? Why would he do this? And what does this really mean for Trump's agenda for American workers, and for the future of the conservative movement? So in today's video, I want to share with you guys the shocking vote that basically Rand Paul's bizarre defense, and why even some Republicans are quietly admitting this was a huge mistake. But they won't dare say it out loud, though. So stick around, guys, because in just a minute, I'm going to show you guys exactly how this vote nearly handed China a massive victory and why Rand Paul is now being called the newest rhino on Capitol Hill. Can you guys name one other rhino that comes to mind? Any rhinos that you can think of, guys? And also, if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit the like button for the video to show your support and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, guys, once you hear how deep this rabbit hole goes, you'll probably never look at Rand Paul the same way again. Or let me know if you're one of the smart people who actually knew Rand Paul would be a backstabber right out the gate. Did anybody know Rand Paul would be this way? Anyway, the United States Senate held a vote just a couple days ago, and not just any vote. This was a full-on attempt to cancel President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. They wanted to cancel Trump's Liberation Day tariffs, guys. The same tariffs that helped ignite a manufacturing comeback that we've never seen before, to put China back on defense. And they proved once again that America doesn't have to play by the globalist rules. And guess what? Well, came shockingly close to passing. The final vote was 49-49. It was a dead tie. One more vote and it would have been all over. So here's where things take a very dark turn, because 3 Republicans crossed the line. They didn't just oppose the tariffs, they sided with Democrats to take them down. Susan Collins. Oh, we talked about Susan Collins not too long ago, didn't we? Does anyone think Susan Collins needs to get fired? She needs to get thrown out? Y'all let me know. But it wasn't just Susan Collins. Lisa Murkowski. And yes, Rand Paul. The same Rand Paul who ran on liberty, sovereignty, and protecting America from federal overreach. He just threw his full vote behind the very same people who are trying to dismantle Trump's economic legacy. Now, this wasn't just a rogue vote. This was a very calculated betrayal. This was a shot across the bow of the America First movement, guys, from somebody who should have known better. Now, don't be fooled, guys. This vote wasn't symbolic. It was strategic. Because think about it. If these tariffs fall, so does Trump's leverage. So does our advantage in trade. So does everything else that we've been building to bring jobs and manufacturing back home to America. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how Rand Paul tried to explain this move, this wild reference that he made to Atlas Shrugged, and why even his fellow Republicans are whispering that this may have been a career-ending misstep. So you're going to want to hear this, because it just shows how out of touch Washington's so-called principal voices have become. So what was Senator Rand Paul's excuse? Well, When he ended up getting confronted about why he sided with Democrats and voted to kill Trump's tariffs, Senator Rand Paul didn't apologize. Nah. In fact, he didn't even say he made a mistake. He didn't act surprised by the backlash. Instead, this guy, he claimed it was about free market principles. Did y'all hear that? Let me say that again. He voted against the most successful pro-American trade policy in a generation because it conflicted with his free market philosophy. Now look, guys, I respect consistency, but there is a fine line between being principled and being completely detached from real world consequences. You know what I'm saying? So Rand Paul, he's out here acting like, we're living in a polite economics textbook where a world where China is rigging the game, Mexico's flooding us with cheap goods, and global elites, they're bleeding America dry. But it gets even weirder. During this interview, Rand Paul, he compared himself to the characters in Atlas Shrugged, who, the dystopian novel about a crumbling society where people whisper about John Galt in fear. Yeah, that book, right? So Rand Paul, he said that Republicans are quietly supporting him in the hallways, but only in whispers. He actually said, they whisper in my ear, free trade is good. Keep going. Keep going. That's not bravery, Senator. That's delusion. This isn't a novel. This is the real world with real workers, real factories, and real American families that are freaking hanging in the balance. And the reality, the backlash has already begun. Rand Paul, he admitted he's basically mobbed online. They are mobbing this guy online, rationed on Twitter, and getting dragged by America First voters across the country. Why? I think it's pretty obvious. Because the base isn't interested in these academic hypotheticals while jobs are on the line. This guy calls himself a libertarian, but when the ideology starts actually tearing down everything that the movement was built, the tariffs, anywhere from tariffs to trade leverage on Trump's economic power, it's not principle anymore. So, I got to walk you guys exactly through what Trump's tariffs have accomplished. We need to talk about some hard numbers. We need to also talk about the real deals that are being made and how foreign leaders who once mocked us are now scrambling to cut some deals out of desperation. Now, trust me, guys, once you see how effective Trump's tariffs actually are, you're going to understand why Rand Paul's vote wasn't just a mistake. This was a direct attack on American strength. Now, let's talk about what Rand Paul tried to destroy. Well, because while he was busy quoting Ayn Rand, Ayn Rand, she spells her first name kind of weird, like A-Y-N. I don't know any Anns that spell their name A-Y-N. All the Anns I know are like A-N-N-E or A-N-N. Anyway, so this guy's over here defending Ayn Rand and defending abstract theories. Well, President Trump's tariffs, they were producing real world results, and you can actually see them. Like, guys, look, you can't ignore the results. We're talking about American factories reopening. Can't ignore that. U.S. companies rehiring. Countries that once were laughing at us are now begging to sit down at the table and negotiate with Trump over tariffs. Comment down below. Is that progress or not? So these tariffs, they're part of Trump's Liberation Day plan. These weren't just symbolic. They were strategic weapons in a global trade war that the U.S. has been losing for decades. And finally, under Trump, we flipped the script. China, they're suddenly softening their tone. They're asking for exemptions. They're pushing for side deals. Mexico and Canada, they're quietly renegotiating supply chain terms. Even some of our European allies, they're now admitting America has the upper hand for the first time in years. And that's the part that really makes Rand Paul's vote so reckless. By trying to cancel these tariffs, he didn't just vote against policy. He voted against the leverage that Trump created. He voted against the trade rebalancing we finally achieved. He voted against the revival of American industry that voters begged for in 2016, 2020, and again in 2024. These tariffs are These tariffs are correcting the imbalances that have hollowed out our heartland for 30 years. They're protecting American workers from being undercut by cheap, manipulated foreign labor. And Rand, he voted to pull the plug. He voted to strip the U.S. of the very leverage that's forcing these globalists to finally play fair. So we got to talk about the real reason this libertarian ideals don't hold up in the real world anymore, and why voters are done tolerating politicians who still think America can lead by example in a cutthroat, backstabbing global economy. Now, trust me, guys, you're not going to want to miss this. And this is where we get to the heart of the problem, guys. Now, let's be blunt. Libertarian ideals, they sound great on paper. Freedom of trade, open markets, no interference, everybody plays fair, everybody plays by the rules, everybody plays nice, right? But you and I both know, and you guys are smart, and you can see what's happening. This isn't a textbook. This is war. For decades, while libertarians like Rand Paul clung to the fantasy of level playing fields, all these other countries, they're out here exploiting our openness, manipulating their currencies, they're dumping cheap labor into our markets, and they're robbing America blind. Our factories are closed. Our supply chains left the country, and our workers, they got sold out by the very people who elected to protect them. Not cool. Not cool. And what did the so-called principled politicians like Rand Paul do? They stood by and they said, hey, well, that's just the free market at work. No, that's not the free market. That's economic suicide. The voting against President Trump's tariffs that are finally giving us leverage again, this isn't just poor judgment. This is being incompetent, delusional, and yes, even anti-American. Because when every other country is rigging the system and we keep playing nice, that's not leadership. That's surrender. And let's be clear. Trump didn't get elected 3 times because Americans wanted another economics professor in office. He got elected because people are sick and tired of watching their leaders bend over and grab their ankles for the global markets while our own people are over here suffering. Right? Rand Paul's brand on liberalism, or I should say libertarianism, it doesn't work anymore. Not in this world, not in this economy, not when the stakes are this high. Now, of course, I got to show you guys how this isn't about economics. It's about voter betrayal. Because when Rand Paul turned on these tariffs, he didn't just oppose Trump. He turned his back on the very American voters who gave this movement a historic landslide in 2024. And if you think the base is going to stay quiet about that, guys, think again. So I want to be crystal clear about what just happened here. Rand Paul, he didn't just vote against a policy. He voted against the people who made that policy possible in the first place. So let's not forget, in 2016, Trump ran on tariffs and he won. 2020, he doubled down on economic nationalism and the base stuck with him. And in 2024, Trump promised to bring back Liberation Day, tariffs, crush the globalist class, and finally level the playing field. And the American people, we responded with a landslide. Why? Well, it's because voters are tired of being lied to. They're tired of these phony promises. They're tired of polished talking points about principles while their towns are getting gutted and the jobs are sent overseas. Meanwhile, you got these cushy politicians collecting taxpayer money, living it up, and Americans are steadily struggling. But Rand Paul, he looked at all that and voted the other way. He voted against the mandate. He voted against the movement. He voted against the very will of the very people who believed that he was on their side. And that's why this hurts so much. Because this wasn't Chuck Schumer or AOC doing what we all expected those clowns to do. This was somebody inside the tent, somebody with a history of opposing the deep state, who just handed the America First movement a political gut punch. And the truth is, it revealed a deeper side inside the Republican Party. There's these Trump aligned fighters who believe in putting America first. And then there's these career politicians like Rand Paul who still believe we can win global trade by being the nice guy in the room. Spoiler alert, we tried that for 30 years and it didn't work. So, of course, I'm going to show you why this battle is over tariffs and why it's a lot more than just trade. It's also about America's survival in this hostile global economy and why Trump's strategy is pretty much the only thing that's standing between our strength and our surrender. So stick with me, guys, because this is so important here. This was never about tariffs. This is about whether America finally fights back or stays on its freaking knees. For decades, global elites, career politicians, they told us that free trade would lift all boats. But while Wall Street got richer and Beijing got bolder, Main Street got left to rot. Our trade deals, rigged. Our borders, wide the heck open. Our factories, shut down, outsourced, gutted. And the worst part? We let it happen. Because we just kept electing people who believed the lie. That all of it changed with President Trump. He didn't just talk tough. He flipped the script and he used tariffs to say, hey, look, America is not your punching bag anymore. All of a sudden, these countries, they started mocking us. They were mocking us and talking all this trash over there. They're now negotiating with us. Suddenly, U.S. manufacturing started to crawl back to life. Suddenly, we had leverage. And they couldn't ignore us anymore. And then, of course, Rand Paul votes. He votes to take it away? What's this guy really up to? Not because it's not working. Not because the numbers didn't show success, because they do. But because it didn't fit his outdated, abstract, utopian theory of how trade should work, even though it doesn't work that way. Folks, this is the real world. Other countries aren't playing nice. They're playing the win. And if we keep pretending that we lead by example, well, think about it. Think about it. Like really think about this for a second, right? Like if we keep pretending that we lead by example while they continue to cheat, while they continue to steal from us, stealing intellectual properties, IP, and exploit us, we lose every single time. Trump's tariffs aren't just about economic policy. They're national defense. They're a shield. They're a sword. It's a message to the world that America finally has a spine again. And Rand Paul, he just voted to drop that sword mid-battle. So, hey, what can we do, right? What can we do right now to stand up against this betrayal? Well, number one, we got to keep America strong and send a message to every rhino that's still playing footsie with these globalists. So Rand Paul, we've seen it all, right? You got Rand Paul, once viewed as this principled defender of liberty. He just voted against the very foundation of Trump's economic comeback. This is not an accident. Not in protest, but with full knowledge that his vote could have collapsed the America First trade policy platform entirely. That's no mistake. This wasn't just a betrayal of Trump. It was a betrayal of you, of the voters, of the workers. How many people watching the show right now used to trust Rand Paul, but now you're having second thoughts? This was a betrayal of the families who believed that this time was going to be different. Because we finally have leverage. We finally had wins. And finally, we finally had proof that America First actually works. And just when we needed the unity the most, Rand Paul, he caved. Freaking backstabbed everyone. So that's why this fight doesn't stop here, folks. Now, if you're sick of politicians saying one thing on TV and doing the exact opposite behind closed doors, if you're tired of these principles being used as some kind of excuse to protect foreign interests over American workers, if you believe the America First movement is just getting started and it's not slowing down, I need you to do three things right now. I need you to comment down below and let me know if you believe Rand Paul just disqualified himself from MAGA leadership. Number two, I need you to like this video. It definitely helps me to break through this algorithm and helps to get this truth out in front of our patriots, more patriots. And believe me, I fight with this algorithm every day. Some people ask me if I'm being suppressed. If you think we are, you let me know in the comments. But the third thing I want to ask you to do is to subscribe to the channel. I bring you unfiltered, hard-hitting updates that the mainstream media refuses to touch. And we're only getting louder from here, guys. And hey, if you want even more behind-the-scenes content, breaking news, daily updates, don't rely on big tech. I left a link in the comments down below. You can join us on our Patreon down below. Because if you really want to support the movement, that's the best way to do it. And that's the only way to make sure that you can actually get the content, because unfortunately, they don't want the message to get out here. But we're not done. We're just getting started, guys. This is your movement. This is your country. And we will never, ever stop fighting for it. So if you guys are with me, I appreciate you. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for watching. Stay strong. Stay informed. And as always, put America first. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.